Hey everyone, Cody from Mac Telecom Networks. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at TP-LINK EAP660HD. This is TP-Link's Wi-Fi 6 access point. If you guys are new here, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the bell icon. If you'd like to hire me for network consulting, visit www.mactelecomnetworks.com. You can find us on Instagram at Mac Telecom Networks. And if you'd like to support the channel, we have an Amazon storefront, and I'll put the links in the description below. So the first thing we'll do, we'll get this unboxed and then we'll look at some of the specs. Here we have the box for the EAP660HD, and let's get it opened. The first thing we have on top is the installation guide, which I probably won't use, and this is an indoor access point. And this is a huge access point. Let me grab a AC1750, just one of their other access points to compare it to. They are different style access points, but this one is very wide, and you can see that it's also very thick. On the inside of the access point, we have our Ethernet port, which is capable up to 2.5 gigabits per second. And then we have a power adapter port, and we also have a reset button. On the bottom, we have our little cutout for our wall mount. It comes with an accessory kit for mounting. And they also give us a power supply if we're not using PoE. And then we have a bunch of other verbiage, which is just telling us about some of their PoE switches and another quick installation guide. On the bottom, we have the mount that we would use to mount the access point to our ceiling. And then we have a couple more screws and anchors. So let's go back to the computer and get into some of the specs. Now we've seen what comes in the box, let's look at some of the specs. So this has ultra-fast Wi-Fi 6 speeds with speeds up to 1,148 megabits per second on the 2.5 gigahertz band and up to 2,402 megabits per second on the 5 gigahertz band, with a total of 3,550 megabits per second. This access point supports high-density connectivity, and we integrate it with our Omada controller. It has the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port on the back. I'm only going to be connecting it to a 1 gigabit switch, as that's all I have. It supports seamless roaming, and it's powered by PoE+, or it does come with the power supply. So let's go over to the Omada controller and get this device into it. So now we're at the dashboard of the Omada controller. We'll go over to our devices. And we could see right here that it's pending. We're going to go ahead and click on it, and then we're going to click Adopt. Now the access point is adopted into our controller. Let's go look at some of the settings. So under details, we could see an overview. So it will show us the MAC address, the IP address, the model, the firmware version that's currently running on the access point, the CPU and memory utilization, as well as the uptime. If we click on our LAN, it will show us some statistics about the receive packets and the transmit packets. On the uplink wired, it's going to show us what uplink device this is connected to, which it's just connected to one of my TP-Link switches. And it's showing that it's at a negotiated speed of 1,000 megabits per second. We could also take a look at the radios at the 2.4 gigahertz or the 5 gigahertz. If we click on the client tab, it would show us clients. We don't have a wireless network created yet, so we don't have any clients. If we go under config, we could change the name. I'll call it Wi-Fi 6 AP. And then under the LED, we could use the site settings. Under IP settings, we could specify if we want it to be DHCP or static. Then under radios, we could change the channel width, the channel, or the power. If we look under WLANs, this will show us our wireless networks. We don't have any created, so we don't see any in the table. Under services, we could specify the management VLAN, SNMP, and the contact. Under advanced, for the 2.4 or the 5 gigahertz, we could do load balancing. So we could set a maximum associated clients, our SSI threshold. We could have quality of service. And then under managed device, we could push out a custom firmware. We could move it to a different site. We could force provision, or we could forget this access point altogether. Under statistics, it will just show us our CPU and memory utilization, as well as the channel utilization for the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz. We could see the drop packets as well as the retried packets. So let's go ahead and create a new wireless network for this. I'm going to first create a new VLAN. So we're going to go down to settings, and then I'm going to click on wired networks and then LAN. Here we're going to create a new LAN. I'm going to call it Wi-Fi 6 test. And the interface is going to be our LAN. That's where we're going to want to trunk this VLAN down to. The VLAN ID will be 10, and I'll give it a subnet of 192.168.10.1/24. and then we'll update the DHCP range. I'm going to leave everything else at default and press save. Now we're going to go ahead and create a wireless network. So I'll click on the wireless network tab. And here we're going to create a new wireless network. I'm going to call this Wi-Fi 6 test. We're going to have both bands enabled. Guest Wi-Fi, we're not going to have that enabled. The password will be a WPA personal, which I'll just put in test 1234. Then we're going to need to associate it with that VLAN. So we'll go under advanced settings and then we'll click enable for the VLAN and give it a VLAN ID of 10 and then we'll press apply. So how I'm going to do the Wi-Fi testing, we're going to start with doing a test right in this office. The access point is right beside me, so we'll do the speed test and the iPerf test. Then I'm going to go to my main floor of the house and do the speed test and the iPerf test, and then we'll go to the basement. And the access point will have everything set to auto. All right, now we're connected to the Wi-Fi 6 test wireless network. The first thing I should mention is my internet speed going into the TP-Link router, 1 gigabit down by about 60 up. So let's go ahead and do the first speed test. All right, for our speed test, pretty much right beside the access point, we're getting 739 megabits per second down and 54.6 up. Let's go ahead and do an iPerf test. I have my computer acting as the iPerf server. We're going to run the first iPerf test, the transmit mode as download. We're going to have 5 streams and it's going to go for 30 seconds. So let's go ahead and start the test. Okay, and the average iPerf download was 681 megabits per second. Let's go ahead and do the upload. And the average upload was 580 megabits per second. I'm going to go down to my main floor and then to the basement and do these same tests. All right, so I took some video captures from my iPhone, and this first speed test and iPerf test will be from my main floor of the house. So let's go ahead and look at the results. And we can see from the main floor of the house, we're getting 396 megabits per second download and 54.4 upload. Let's go ahead and look at the iPerf test. And for the iPerf test on the transmit mode of download, we're getting an average of 432 megabits per second. Let's test the upload. And the average upload we're getting is 305 megabits per second. Now the next set of tests will be for in my basement, which is 2 stories below where the access point is. So the first test we'll do in the basement is the speed test. And our download speed for the speed test was 60.8 megabits per second and our upload was 7.63. Let's do the iPerf test in the basement. And our average download for the iPerf was 80 megabits per second. Let's see the upload. And the average upload was 6 megabits per second. So I think that access point works fairly decently when you're pretty close to it or on another level of the house. Once you're about 2 floors away, the Wi-Fi signal starts to degrade a bit. I may do another comparison video between this access point and the UniFi 6 long range. If you guys would want to see anything in that video, please leave it in the comments below and I'll try my best to add it in. If you guys like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. All right, thanks.